Yeah, hello everyone. And Bison, you're a liar. One day when you open that sector up, I do see it was the Malaysian gods, that opened that sector. They're old Egyptian level 4s, here and there, and then pi. There was about 20 trillion, about 20 trillion. 20 trillion plus, and you were in there, and then pi, they summoned you, you're in there. It's in Malaysian dragon sector, and you're in there, and it's graphic. You murdered about 20 Egyptians, and then you fly around, and then eventually your knights are there, and the knights finish the rest off, and then the women Egyptian African goddess are allowed to leave a few seconds ahead, and boom, they finished off the male, and you looted the decks, but those are level 4, and then Payusan later on, you caught one of those Egyptians in the Book of Law there in the Malaysian sector, and then you knew it. Saudi, you're not the African, you're not African, you're not African Egyptian 4, you is African Egyptian level 2, and right there he appears, and he's not nice, he's not nice, he's not nice, he is the one in the Book of Law. You was cut up by him 20 times in that Malaysian sector, and then your Egyptian level 4 was cut up, about 2 times, 2 times. You lucky, you lucky, he is one of the ones in the Book of Law. And then Pi, right there, he cut open you 20 times, you heal, and you look, your Egyptian level 4 was cut up 5 times, that's true. And those, are the similar species they had, and right there, creepy, he says, you're only Egyptian 3 is it? They beat him up again. That's okay, it's okay. Those are Egyptians who are not African sun god. That's true. They're a different family from Egypt. And right there, you sealed that sector, but right afterwards is very graphic, because when you play around with Egyptian level 4s there, the old allies of the yellow gods, and then those, you caught one of their sons and is infected 2, he fought you for 4 hours and you matched, but that's not really, it's not it. The other version scared you, scared you, and you see how graphic? They beat each other up in their normal, but they heal, they heal. And it was there, that I saw you end 2 of those characters. That's true, probably your sons. And the funny thing is, you gained the dex, you matched the one the wielder, but 2 hours of you fighting him, you knew the truth. He was only 4 minutes faster. That's true. And then you knew the truth, that he's a big bender, so normal, It's like that for that current timeline, but once he bends and you bends, you knew immediately, he's back to a few days faster, a few years. That's true, that's true. Because during the fight, you're afraid to bend and re-render your skin because, you'll get 2 hit. That's true. And right there, you knew it. He and you were smart. But right afterwards, you knew it. He hit you 50 times again. You nodded. You felt it. That's true. Summon, render the scene, and boom. A lot of bodies and robots and flying out. That's true. It was 4 hours. 4 hours and Pi's out of there. Rope, not fun. Not fun. Those are real level 2s, and Pi's afraid. And Pi said, you know how close to death you was? He cut you 50 times in the throat, and then you're immune. That's true. And Pi said, you know what she said? I have never seen a god like you fight Egyptian level 4, and then you murdered several level 2s, and then you murdered 1s, and then you played them. But wealthy. And then that is a Malaysian, Cobra, side of the heaven. That space country is saved, reserved for that kind of event only. That's true. And then those big competition tournaments, creepy. And then Payusan, I saw if you do return to Earth, in your African level 4 families, those allies, you appear there and you was beat up, you was beat up by the Egyptian level 2, that's true. Probably beat up for about 4 or 5 days, and then your level 4 escapes, and then you equip sword, and then right there, normal. 2 hours of lying, lying too. He said the same sentence he said, normal. Grammar in African G, that's true. A plus by. He was so angry, he said, Pi thefts a few grammar from him, and used it. And then it was 4 hours of you getting beat up by your Egyptian level 4, and then he leaves you in the normal pie. And then later on in life, pie, what you said was that you can go because I know those are not full enemy. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. It was so graphic, the white gods lie, pie. He came back and kicked your butt twice in that Malaysian sector. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Those are one of the characters in the Book of Law. The one he crushed his left arm. Yeah, that family branch was in there, and he kicked your butt twice in there, and you knew it. Yeah, you knew it. Yeah, you murdered off Hadad, African sun god, and then your night ended. Yeah, five-sided star too, but that's later on in life, and it was graphic. Yeah, he is official, the fastest. Yeah, five-sided star is the fastest war god in the Book of Law. That's true. And that's why Pi not tell you Pi match, but it is not the same. Yeah, it's like this. It's like a race. They're already there, and your decks catch up, and you get there, but they're only miles away. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And that's why people knew it, Pi. Yeah, you angry Pi. It was 4 hours, and you deflected and parried, but 9 hours you terrified. Because, yeah, that area, yeah, you tuned it down to quarter mile. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. It was 2 hours of you parrying, and he's eating Burmese Pie. But he says, on Earth, if that wasn't your planet Pie, he would have murdered you with 2 elixirs. Yeah, that's true. And then Pai said, the best fight scene was you're in there for 9 days, and your knight go in there, yeah, he leaves. Pai normal, he lays the work, yeah. Malay wrote, Paisa's knight spared him too because he lies, Pai. What's in the background cutting you up was the same white god in the book. That's true, yeah, that's true. And then right there, your knight survived him, and your knight parried him about 12 minutes faster. Yeah, that's true, yeah, that's true. Hey, Pi, your knight's psychokinesis energy is faster, but be careful, Pi. The faster it was, the more dangerous he threw, yeah, more projectiles, yeah. And the knight not die, Pi. The knight render fast enough knights, but right after we're fast enough bodies, Pi. But right afterwards, he is scared, Pi. The knight hit him up 4 billion times. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Right there, they knew it. Magic rendering is real. Yeah, it's real. 2 hours of that, and they wrote real. Yeah, real. Pi 個度 night 我贏得是到什麼樣的多大的是個度 night 樣的真絕對不住的住個度 night 嘅人 yeah, that's true. Yeah, him stop like a real, yeah, him quit like a real human god, and so yeah, the night let him live and fly back home normal. It was there. Egypt noted. First time he is white again. That's true. It was several million years later. Từ đấy nữa lo đấy, nó mất từ đấy chân đi tây chỉ ở đâu, thì là tới hải có mà con dê có bao nhiêu đâu, mấy đa số đâu, yeah, Mexicans are liars, Pi. When they came down, Pi, those New Zealand gods, they're liars. They kept wearing his clothes and laughing, and Pi wrote, why laugh? Yeah, why laugh? Yeah. Yeah, African Sun God's been dead. Yeah, there's no point. Yeah, there's no point. He's a deadlier god. He's playing stupid like me. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. He's lying to you. Yeah, it does take him a few hours and he's fast. Yeah, that's true. You want to see how stupid kids are, Pi? 4 fucking hours of powerful guys playing the weakling, and then he lets you heal, and then you nod. Pi, yeah, that's true. The dumbass never seen Pi. You never seen how fast those level 4s are. 5, and everyone was out of there. That's true, yeah, everybody was out of there. And then Pai said, you know what he said to you? When you're maxed out with the prisoners, Pi, the African prisoners, you'll figure what they were using, and then their symbols are there, in Egypt, and those are real too. Yeah, those are real too. It is very graphic because their elixir throat and eyeballs are not sealed, and they keep absorbing, and you keep matching. You cut open the offsprings, and you keep absorbing. And you match, but it was 9 hours of terror. Yeah, 9 hours of terror. I saw Pi reversed him again on Earth, and that's when he told you his name, Pi. That up there he not lied to you, but that is his grandpa. Yeah, his grandpa. Cậu đi tới lo lần đầu có được Pi này lần đầu có. Bây giờ một lần một lần đầu sát su, lần đầu có chỉ thua Pi. Đó là nữ sĩ tây dây anh sĩ tây is hygienic. He only used his hands, so Pi put away the sword. Yeah, Pi parried with the sword, not turning on. That's true. Yeah, that's true. And then Pi didn't turn on the green. In 2 hours, he's out of the eyes, out of there. You smart pie. He says, smarter than that thing over there. It was cut up by his hands 50 times. Pie, yeah, that's true. Hey, pie, he said, you won, but be careful, pie. He says, you are the hygienic Hmong god. I've never seen in Egypt that lied to them. And right there, you saw his real max supercharger pie. 4 fucking hours quicker than you, but you not die. Yeah, you not die. Yeah, his RPM's real. His RPM's real. RPM is when they're able to draw enough adrenaline that morphs their nervous system. And then, yep, they go into overclock mode. Yeah, that's true. The acceleration is somehow transferred to the skin, and it becomes real dex. Yeah, yo, good. That's why Pie's scared. Yeah, that's why Pie's scared. And it wasn't just cutting rate. Yeah, the speed of your arm swinging. But you see, that's why he's scared of you. He knows your RPM's damage. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true. He says, yeah, your RPM's damaged because you were born a human. The liar is not RPM, pie. It is supercharger in you. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Pie is turbo. Yeah, he's the real. Yeah, he's the real. You know what he said to you, pie? Real natural gods are like that. You, pie, when you King Cobra, yeah, you match for at least 3 or 4 or 5 days, but right there, you can completely KO everything in the field. That's true. That's right. That's why people hate you. They waited, and then Pie's out of there. Yeah, normal game, ladies. And then supercharger is the other form. He goes in there. If he's too slow, in a few hours, few days, boom, he cuts everything in the field. Yeah, KO'd everything. That's true. Pie. 4 hours of the supercharger looking good. And then 2 Egyptians on the White God normal. It is an Egyptian level 3. Yeah, it's an Egyptian level 3. And it says, you a liar, pie. When you is like 4 trillion times the speed, you know, yeah, y'all good. You, pie, you're a great liar. Before you verse anything, you always make certain you're about 20 to 60 to 80 trillion times their speed. That's true. And pie, that's why you're a liar. He knows you matched him. He is about 40 billion times right there in the current timeline. That's true. Hey, pie, he says, you're a great liar. Allah is a pretend, Dex. He's a pretend bender. Yeah, he's a pretend bender. I saw 4 hours when you surpass him. The thing is, you exercise, it works. You render and it works, but it's never beating a turbo or a supercharger. That's true. Yeah, that's true. And that's why people hated you. Yeah, that's true.